So in advance, I do as well with public speaking as a turtle does in a marathon, so not very well.
He won that race.
Gosh, that's a really bad
He
year.
won.
We are the meme team. I'm Austin Rogers. Graduated high school a couple years ago and hopped into a grocery store retail job that I absolutely hated. People hating retail. Wow, that's a shocker. Well, my brother, about halfway into my year at that job, my brother actually took this course, graduated from, I believe, the 501, and he heavily recommended it to me. So I took the 101 early November, and I absolutely loved it. I took one minor programming class, like Visual Basic, in high school, and that was okay, but I decided to give it a shot, and so far I've been loving every minute of it.
Hi, I'm Christina Lee, or the Left Shark. Before this, I was working in residential real estate, and I was just kind of done with people with unrealistic expectations, and so that's how I kind of ended up at Code Fellows. I have no coding experience whatsoever, but I'm really enjoying what I've learned so far, what I'm doing, so I'm very happy here so far.
I'm David, or Aliens Guy from the History Channel show. If you can't explain it, it's definitely aliens. I've been a QAE and SE, whatever you want to call it, for about 17 years, and I felt my career hitting the wall where I was no longer getting the jobs that I was applying for, no longer passing interview questions or getting interview questions that I could answer easily, and so I decided to come to Code Fellows to get past that and advance my career. And so far, I feel like I've learned like 10 tons of stuff in 5 tons period of frame. So, yeah.
Hi guys, I'm Morgan. I've been in various technology roles for the past 6 years or so, less technical than what we're doing here. And yeah, I'm just really excited to get more into the code. So in those technical or less technical roles, but being on technology teams and also being here at Code Fellows, I kept on running into the same scenario where I'd be talking to someone or be on Slack and I'd be bombarded with like pictures or references that I didn't quite understand. It turns out they were all references to memes. So the premise of this project, we decided to make a memory game that could help people like me with very little background in digital culture.
Real quick, your About Me photos are amazing. Those About Me photos are amazing.
For those of you who don't know what a memory game is, essentially you have a grid of cards, and you select 2, and they kind of reveal themselves. If they match, they stay uncovered. If they don't match, they flip back over, and you're pretty much trying to finish out the board. We kind of made this website using what we learned in 201. It's HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Node, jQuery. The tools that we used were GitHub projects for a Kanban board, and also Dropbox to manage our project documents.
All right, let's play a game. Let's play as Adam so we can blame him whenever Christina messes up. So, entering the game, you're presented with a 4x4 grid. So, upon clicking on an image, it will reveal itself. And upon clicking on a second image, it will reveal that image. And upon moving the mouse, the images will be compared to see if they are correct. And then, if they aren't correct, they will flip back over.
Top left.
Top left.
Not yet.
Top right.
No. Left one. Yeah, right there.
No, top right.
That one.
That one.
So every time you click on 2
SpongeBob.
images,
Top.
helps me have a little every time you click on 2 images, regardless of if it's right or not, a variable increments up.
Yeah.
And a tense variable increments up.
Yep.
Which, upon beating the game, is displayed at the top, along with the prompt to restart the game, which will refresh the board. Save some time. We have already, which Using local storage, we log attempts and we'll compare attempts of that run and the previous run.
So a few of the technical challenges that we encountered along the way, obviously in the CSS, getting this 4x4 grid to be on the page and not fall apart every time you touch it was one of the challenges that we encountered. Also randomizing the images into this grid in a way that was not obvious after playing it more than once. We started out where there was two kind of columns of images being randomized into those groups, and then they were side by side. And then we found a third option, which we landed on, which really randomizes them. Well, a lot better. This kind of looks less random than that, but it is random, as you get. Also, the game flow, controlling when the user can continue to the next set of cards or click on something. Controlling that was one of the challenges that we encountered. We had originally put in alerts to stop the user from clicking on something else, but we decided that the user experience of that was really bad. So we came up with 3 other options, which were what we have now, which is when the mouse moves, we move on. We also had it when you click a third time, you would move on. Or we had it so that, we're using a timer to try and pause the compare function long enough for the user to see the image on the screen and then move on. This was the best option that we came up with after letting somebody like Brooke actually did some game or play testing for us, and he suggested this was his favorite of the 3, so we landed on that.
I'm going to lead us off by talking a little bit about what I worked on, and then the rest of the team is going to go as well. I worked on some of the original project flows, so how we started our stories and how they moved through the process into the done column. I also helped get our ideas into a digital wireframe format. I helped with the kind of initial JavaScript functionality of getting the cards onto the board in a random order, which needed to be revised a couple of times. And then I'll also take credit for generating those meme about me photos. So thank you for noticing.
What I worked on was I kind of came up with like the style theme, like our color pattern of the fonts we were going to use. Morgan and I pair programmed the initial JavaScript. I worked on like that restart button and also getting the results to show up and using local storage with that. My final kind of thing that was big for me was I kind of came up with a couple solutions to like our main bug with the timing and having things run too fast. And so that was awesome. What I enjoyed the most was definitely like finding solutions to our problems. Anything that came up, it was really stressful, but like when you get it, like that high is amazing, and that was definitely my favorite part of all of this. What was most challenging for me was definitely a lot of our members have more experience working in this field and just trying to get on the same page with a lot of the terminology that's being used. But I mean, I think I've learned and I've grown from it, so I'm like thankful for that challenge.
The bulk of my time is spent in the HTML for the home and the About Us, along with the JavaScript for the About Us. I am also responsible for gathering all the lovely visuals that you see here, or in Photoshop a lot of them to actually fit into these sizes, however. I really enjoyed working on a team. It was incredibly stressful at times, and I cannot and will not deny that. But I like the fact we pulled through in the end and did a really good job. The most challenging thing for me was being able to look at my code, pass it off to them, and hear that it was less than ideal. Because I made something, it worked fine on my computer, but then they would break in an instant. I really enjoyed finding pretty much every single bug in the game that Christina patched. But no, it's just, overall, this is a great experience.
That's how you learn.
I lost my place here, hold on a sec. Okay, big contributions that I felt like I added to. I did the initial CSS setup. It was really super responsive initially, but there were some mystery margins, so I had to make some last minute changes that made it slightly less responsive now. But that was a big challenge, having to make adjustments and fit things in after I had kind of gotten things where I wanted them. And if I could go back, I would try and plan that out a little bit better so that I was more flexible there. I also was involved with creating the framework for this page quite a bit, and I did a lot of the JS helper functions, the end game functionality, and some of the local storage I was involved in helping with. Like I said, I really enjoyed the challenge with the CSS and the difficulty that I had. The thing that I found hard to deal with at first was just putting my code out there and then other people changing it without me going like, why are you touching that? And just freaking out, and also not driving forward with my ideas to refactor other people's code at the same time and trying to work within how their code functioned instead of changing it to how I would make it function. Those were big lessons I needed to learn. Yeah, we felt like in the future this could go a lot farther with adding custom themes and having to customize the background per the theme that you chose. Being able to upload your own meme images with your own meme text so that you could see a set of images that were more fun. And maybe adding some more animations and sounds. Any animations and some sounds would have been fun.
Peter Griffin.
Yeah. You know, like clicking on prompt and having a little Rickroll start up. And you could see in the future this becoming a game that you could have multiple grid sizes, have a beginner, which would be this, an intermediate, which would be double this, and advanced, which would be larger than that. Maybe not double, but bigger. And yeah, there were some other stretch goals. We did get a few of them in, and maybe a leaderboard at some point in time in the future would have been great, but we decided to scope that down a little bit and leave it with just the last two, the current game and the last game we played.
So that's our presentation. Thank you guys so much. And if you have any questions, we'll thank you. Thank you.
Questions?
How did you structure the layout of your template, or not template, but like the actual place where you play? Was that HTML or was that appended or in JavaScript? Or how did you handle that?
So we make our cards in JavaScript and we pretty much have a tag and we push them all in there. So it's like DOM work. So it's not actual, like there's a grid and we put content in each of them. We just make it through for loop and it goes on.
It's an interaction also with CSS to size the grid and the cards when they get put into there. But yeah, the JavaScript made the cards, and then when they get put in there, they're sized by the CSS.
Any other questions?
What did you learn about learning?
Good question.
Yeah, next question.
I actually had a really great kind of thought about this, but a lot of people say as you get older, it's harder to learn. That's why you should do a lot of schooling when you're younger. And that was actually kind of a concern that I had being a little bit older, like trying to learn something new when my brain is kind of set. And I found out that like if you're really passionate about something, you end up learning it and you get it at the pace you're gonna get it. And that's okay. And so really when you're trying to learn, it doesn't matter. Like just enjoy it, like be passionate about it and it'll come.
I also learned that learning requires humility and the mentality that you need to learn it so you can't expect yourself to know it. I know that was like hit on a lot throughout this class, but it was something that is still taking time to sink into my brain. So your friends are your allies in this. If they know anything, you should ask them. Google is your ally in this. If you can get it out of there, away. It's your friend. So yeah, that was the biggest thing I learned about learning.
I touched on this briefly, but when it comes to your code, and to quote an overrated movie, you need to let it go. You need to be able to put your code out there and get some of the harshest feedback in your opinion you've ever heard of. You need to be ready to have your code absolutely destroyed in a polite way. You cannot improve if you look only at what you did.
Any other questions?
My question is actually kind of directed to Morgan. Do you feel like you understand the memes now?
I can say that I know 8 more memes than I knew before.
On your French fry, you're gonna have bad. Oh, that's not one of them.
Okay. I didn't get that one.
South Park.
Oh.
Any other questions? Cool. Good job, y'all.